Hi, and welcome. This is Jonathan Banks. I'm talking about Sustenance for Courage, and I'm with my friend Dom Dominiani from BentoBox. Dom, how are you doing?
Doing good, Jonathan. Thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to kind of hashing through all of this with you today.
Well, it's great to have you, and I know you're the person that we want to talk to because in Sustenance for Courage, we've been working with restaurant entrepreneurs in downtown St. Paul. We know that restaurants are the heartbeat of downtown St. Paul, Minnesota. And so one of the things that we've really been working with restaurants on is their websites and their digital presence. And that's something that Dom, your company really specializes in. So I wanted to talk with you today about some of the insights that we found and pain points that we found with restaurants downtown St. Paul to see what insights you might have to share with us and recommendations so we can help to continue to support restaurant entrepreneurs who are the heartbeat of downtown St. Paul, Minnesota. Does that sound good to you, Dom?
Sounds great.
Awesome. Well, maybe we could just get started by you telling us just a few things about you and the work you do for BentoBox.
Absolutely. Yeah. So as Jonathan mentioned, my name is Dom Dominiani. I am a senior partner manager here at BentoBox. I work with a variety of the marketing agencies that partner with BentoBox to bring our website solution to their clients. Do a lot of hand-in-hand work with these partners in terms of co-marketing, supporting their sales team, things of that nature, making sure that they feel comfortable talking about BentoBox, understand the value and why we have decided to work within the restaurant industry. It's something that we are very passionate about. We want to make sure that we're supporting restaurant owners. I know it's a hectic business, so my goal is to make sure that these agencies are supporting these restaurants in the same way that we strive to.
Yeah, that's so important to do too, because as a restaurant entrepreneur, a lot of times diving into web technology and making sure things are set up that in a way that's most advantageous is difficult. In fact, that's what we find happening a lot with the restaurants that we've worked with in downtown St. Paul and the restaurants that we've worked with across the region too. So today we want to really talk about some of the triumphs and challenges that restaurants are facing, some of the effective content and design aspects of web presence, get into some questions, and then wrap up the conversation. And Dom, I know that you've got some materials to share with us too, so I'm excited to jump in and look at those materials too that you have to share with us later on in the conversation. Is it all right if we jump into some of the triumphs and challenges, Dom?
Yep, let's do it.
You know, one of the things that I see happening, and it happens across the cohort of restaurants that are in Sustenance for Courage, is, we have kind of a blend of restaurants. We've got some cafes, we've got some breweries, we've got some quick service up in the skyways of downtown. That's a big thing here, in Minnesota, skyways. So that's, we got restaurants up there. And then, we've got our full service restaurants, our fine dining restaurants too. And I think, in downtown, something that is really special about the downtown scene is that there's a lot of people coming and going every day, coming in and out. And a lot of times there isn't a bunch of forethought about, perhaps what I'm going to have for lunch if I'm downtown for work, or if I'm downtown for a game, a baseball game. There might be some planning ahead of time, but I might not be all too familiar with what the neighborhood's like, because I'm kind of coming in and out of the scene there. And so that web presence is very important. We see with our Skyway restaurants, for example, we want to be able to attract folks who are coming in and out of their lunch hour and make sure that, they don't have to wait in line too long. But a lot of times we're having, I would just say, difficulty getting our online ordering set up for the lunch hour, whether it's a QR code on the window, whether it's, a website that's up and running with the menu, and that's getting the orders in place. So we have that, a good balance between who's in person and who's coming in with an online order. So I'd love to just look at this example and think about ways that web technology can help, especially for like quick service in the skyways. Is there anything that you've seen effective that could help out some of these restaurant entrepreneurs in downtown St. Paul?
Yeah, I mean, a web presence or a solid, restaurant website footprint is important for all types of businesses, right? It's one of the most important technologies to utilize. It really does set up a business for increased customer base and revenue growth potential. So some of the data that we've pulled shows that nearly 80% of today's diners go to a restaurant's website before deciding where they'd like to eat. So, your website is where people go to find your hours, your location, your menus, see pictures. So it's very important for your site to accurately and efficiently help the visitor find the information that they need so that you can turn them into a paying customer. And so to take it just a little bit further there, your website can be more than a home base for your online presence. It can also be a hub for additional revenue driving tools. So to your point, how do we support online ordering, make it as seamless as possible, and you can really capitalize on that traffic that is hitting your website on a day-to-day basis by positioning those first-party online ordering tools or selling tickets to specific events that are coming up. And so, it's important for us and the tools that we provide on top of the website. We want to set these restaurant owners up to capitalize on that increased traffic so that they own the data, they own the profits and all of that. So there's obviously a lot of other tools that you can tack onto a website to help you do that. But the best way to kind of look at the importance of a website and kind of tying in all those tools is that they really need to look at that website as their digital storefront.
And have you seen, with owning the data and having the digital storefront out there, have you seen any really great success stories that could be applied to not only quick service restaurants, but even the restaurants that it might be located in a downtown environment?
Yeah, there's a couple that come to mind, to be honest. I spend a lot of time kind of talking through success stories with the partners that I work with. They obviously want to know, what's working for other businesses in my area and whatnot. The one that typically sticks out to me the most is a group called Saxby's Coffee. Obviously we built thousands and thousands of websites, these digital storefronts for restaurants. This one in particular, they are located typically in bigger cities, typically around universities. So there's high foot traffic. And their needs were a little bit different than some of our other clients. So just to kind of give you a little bit of background on Saxby's before kind of diving into like a success story.
Sure.
They are a corner coffee shop. They, came to us with big ambitions initially. They wanted to not only be a go-to coffee shop for these students or other business people that are obviously in the area. They also wanted to double as a social impact company.
Yeah.
So after, multiple years of serving its communities with nonprofit collaborators, they took that social mission one step further by creating their own Saxby's experiential learning platform, which is a network of cafes entirely designed for and run by college students. So this student-run model, it really did change Saxby's online presence. They now needed a website designed for both cafe guests and potential partners like nonprofits. And so when they came to us, their goal was to share their story. They wanted to position themselves to hire students to join the cause, and they wanted to grow partnerships and make it easy for guests to actually navigate that website and find the information that they were seeking. So between, the cafe business, the social impact mission, and the aggressive student hiring, their website needed to function in part like a restaurant website or what we were more accustomed to building, but it also needed to be, a nonprofit website and a job portal, respectively. So,
Wow.
it
That's
needed
a
to be
lot.
all those things and be cohesive for their guests, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so in order to help them bring that vision to fruition, it started with a cohesive design. So our design team consolidated information that they provided us into categories. We then organized those categories in the header and footer of the website, strategically, placing emphasis on the most important areas to them. We also, chatted a little bit about them wanting to have more of a minimalist vibe to the website. So we kept text minimal, and we made it very digestible for the readers. The concept behind it is pretty complex. So making sure it was very straightforward, to the point, easy to comprehend, what was very important. And the outcome was a easy to navigate website with compelling but not overwhelming storytelling. So that's always one that stands out.
Yeah.
They have now grown to over 25 locations. They generate hundreds of thousands of website visitors every year, and are very happy with the experience that their partners, the students, everyone has on that website. So that's one that always sticks out to me.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And I love the fact that your design team came together to help kind of provide that expertise that the restaurant didn't have on itself. Saxby didn't have on their own to be able to, go through that design process. And you all helped out there, because that is a super common challenge. There's a number of websites that we've built, not because we're doing anything special or overly complex like you all did, but simply it's something outside the wheelhouse of the restaurateur and what they're doing or focused on, because they want to serve the guests, make the food or provide the experience. And so we've come in and helped with those websites, and that design is really something that's a common challenge for restaurateurs to overcome. So it was interesting to hear how you all helped with that in that growth, up to 25 locations. I don't recall what they started with when they came to you. But I'm not sure if you have that number or not, but that is a good size for a coffee shop chain, definitely. If you want to look at it like that, a corner coffee chain. So yeah, that's really impressive. Nice work.
Yeah, it's a great story. Honestly, they, the design element was definitely a pain point for them. They wanted to make sure that it was easy to manage post-launch. They didn't want this huge beast of a custom-built website through a platform that wasn't meant for restaurants. So that was something we were able to help solve for, a big pain point. And then as they continued to grow, they started to look at other opportunities for revenue growth online through that website, and saw a lot of success in that. So we were happy to be a part of that journey and that growth.
That's awesome. Well, and you talked about design, and you talked about some of the effective content that Saxby was able to use here to help drive the growth. And that content mix is very interesting in that case too, because, for, diners who were looking where to go to get food, a lot of times it's a battle for attention. So if you don't do the design right, if you have too much content, it can totally throw that battle for attention off, and they'll choose something that's maybe more clear, compelling, or more familiar to them. Are there any ways that you all help with effective content and design aspects? Do you have a formula that you like to use or anything along those lines?
Not necessarily a formula. I like to think that our kind of onboarding and design process is one of the most valuable pieces of our technology. We take a lot of pride in being able to adapt to different needs and all of that. But in terms of like key elements that make a restaurant website effective, we always like to kind of point to this tried and true kind of picture painting, for lack of a better phrase, where the most successful websites mirror the physical restaurant space, right? So we want the online experience to come to life with unique design, high resolution photography, and we just want it to represent the experience and the vibe of the restaurant for someone if they were visiting in person. That's kind of the template that we use when starting any conversation.
Well, and I'm super excited because I know you brought some materials to share with us today, just to kind of talk a little bit more about how you all get involved here. So I'd love for you to feel free to share those right now, because I know that having a few restaurants who've worked with BentoBox, they did come out with some pretty beautiful websites that worked for them and drove business. So I'd love to hear more about your approach with the materials that you brought to share with us.
Yeah, totally. I'd love to kind of give everyone a little bit of insight into BentoBox. I know you've heard me speak about some great work we've done, but let's kind of show you what the tool looks like itself, so that everything might, we might be able to connect the dots a little more. Let me share my screen real quick.
You got it.
All right.
BentoBox overview.
Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. All right. Let's go into slideshow so everyone gets a little bit closer up to what I'm about to show. Cool. So just to kind of preface this again for everybody here, I appreciate you letting me bend your ear a little bit. But at a very high level, BentoBox is a marketing and commerce platform designed specifically for the restaurant industry. So we've been around for over 10 years serving this industry, and we've helped kind of, we like to think that we've helped solve the restaurant website pain point for thousands of concepts and are continually improving our products so that we can remain that best in class all-in-one hospitality solution for the industry itself. So, there's really four things that I'll kind of use to tee this up a little bit. These are things that we've identified as being key to a restaurant's long-term success digitally. And they are stand out, sell, engage, and operate. The way in which you stand out is to build an online presence, right? A thoughtful and intentional digital presence will significantly increase your ability to then sell online. And by owning those revenue generating opportunities online, you're then giving yourself the ability to collect data and engage with your customers to drive repeat behavior. So then you look at those three categories, and then you can tie all of that together by integrating your online and offline systems to allow the restaurant to operate at peak efficiency. So that's kind of an overarching overview of the platform, our complete hospitality solution. But just for the sake of time and for the sake of this conversation, I'm strictly going to focus on the stand out portion of this. So
that's funny that you say that, because I was going to ask you to talk about engage. So maybe if we still have time, we can get into that.
Yeah, I'm happy to shed a little light on that piece of it too. That is our kind of more automated marketing tools versus our website functionality, but I'm happy to touch on that too.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, yeah, stand out.
Yep. So stand out. That is where our restaurant website platform comes into play. So this is the very first thing, that we want restaurants to start thinking about when they want to have, a full hospitality solution for their business. Because at its core, even though we offer all of these other tools now, BentoBox is a website platform for restaurants. I want to make sure that gets driven home. We provide fully customized branded websites with full service setup. That means that, each restaurant is going to get an onboarding manager that's going to help them create a professional website with high quality design. Nice. So the three main things that we want to accomplish, through helping a restaurant stand out is we want to help them build their brand online, get found online, and then increase on that track, increase conversions, right? So you're getting this additional traffic. How are we taking advantage of that? So here's just a quick hit on some of the functionality that lives within the website portion of the platform. So I mentioned the full service setup. That's something that oftentimes technology companies like BentoBox do not provide. You usually have to buy the software and then you pay someone else to build the site for you. So it's changing hands a little bit. That is kind of where we've differentiated. We have a large in-house team of designers and onboarding managers that will work with you to build this site for you.
Right, because we don't have time. We don't have the time to manage all different parties doing this website implementation. We just want to work with one person. We paid them to the website's ready, right? Yep,
100%. Yep. Keeps everyone kind of aligned and on the same team with the shared vision, and feedback is a lot cleaner and whatnot. So it just works out really well that way.
Absolutely.
One of the things that is important to point out here too, is once the website is launched, a pain point that we hear all the time is, okay, I have this website built for my business, through, I'll just use WordPress, for example. How do I then manage it after it's launched, right? There's a lot of ways you can do that, but typically the average restaurant owner or general manager of a store is not going to be technically trained enough to be able to do that. And that's why through the back end of BentoBox, we we kept that in mind, and we've made it as easy as possible for merchants to make updates to their websites with our flexible content controls. So, the most common pain point on the content front is managing menus online. So that's always something that we hear pretty much, I'll say over half the time that's a common pain point. We have a menu management tool in the back end where it basically looks like you are, you're composing an email. But then when you go onto the customer facing side and go onto the website after you change these text boxes and whatnot, it looks exactly the same as you left it. The design elements stay in place. You don't need to know any coding. So you can easily update, menu items, add or subtract them. You can easily update the photos, the prices, the modifiers, anything along those lines within a matter of seconds in the back end.
That's great.
The main reason that people gravitate towards BentoBox beyond just the great design is that it is a modern and flexible platform. So, we continue to track trends in the industry. We make continuous updates to the product so that, the tools are accessible by all in the restaurant. They're digestible by the customer when they're on there. And one of the tools that's constantly evolving, and one of the best things that we offer according to our customers is that our websites do have built-in SEO. It's very easy to update, and it ensures a restaurant's website is easy to find online, which obviously results in an increase in traffic and more revenue opportunities. So one of the ways, that we positively impact SEO is that no matter what, all of our websites are built with the responsiveness in mind. So any website is out of the box, ready to roll for any mobile device, tablet, or desktop. So folks can consume that information no matter where or how they're finding you.
Yeah, that's a big thing too, because it can be very complex in the way that you set up SEO if you don't have a tool to help you. So it's nice to hear that you have that in place, BentoBox.
Yeah. And we're constantly, the SEO game changes,
Absolutely.
all the time. So
Yeah.
we have, our marketing team is great. They're constantly monitoring all of that. They're releasing new blog articles, how-tos, and constantly sending those to our customers so that everyone, stays up to date. And anytime they connect with the customer success manager, they know how to guide them on best practices and all that.
Great. Yeah, that's a really good option for folks who want to stay focused on, serving food and running the restaurant without getting into being a web design specialist.
Yeah. It's it's a skill that takes a long time to be able to master. So you can make it as easy as possible for these folks to seem like experts or feel like experts. It's worth it, right?
Yeah. Well, and I suppose they want to learn about the people coming to their website too. Do you have a way to show the general manager, what's going on with the activity on the website?
Yeah, great. That's a great segue. That's actually where I was going next. So, in the back end of BentoBox, it not only allows you to update content or whatever on the website itself, but there's also a great dashboard that is intuitive. It updates in real time. So anyone will be able to log into BentoBox that works at the restaurant. They'll be able to see what areas of their site are driving the most conversions and revenue. And they'll even be able to see, what other marketing channels are sending traffic their way. So, hey, are your efforts on Instagram paying off more than, Facebook or whatever the case may be? So you'll have insight into what makes the most sense for you to spend your marketing time and dollars to drive more traffic to the site, more awareness around the brand. And that one of the cool add-on tools that we have for, this level of insight and the flexibility of managing the website and the data on the back end is that we have a tool called Local Sync that basically allows these restaurant owners to make updates to their menu, their hours of operation, their locations, or whatever the case may be, and push that information to all of these other channels such as Google, Facebook, Instagram, so that they're only having to update these materials in one place, and they don't have to log into 5 different accounts and manually, tediously update all of this. So those are, that's another really great tool that helps you manage the website most efficiently.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because that is a lot to keep track of, and just knowing where you posted certain content and when you posted it can be hard to manage too.
Yep.
It's a great feature to have.
Yeah. Wanted to just quickly kind of show you one of our most recent websites that we launched. This is Breckenridge Brewery in Colorado.
Oh, great. We've got a lot of breweries in downtown St. Paul, so this is a good example to bring up.
Yeah, I figured that was the case. I've unfortunately never had the chance to go to Minnesota, but I've heard, the brewery scene is top notch. So this was one of my favorite sites that we've launched in the last couple of months. So I thought it made sense to share this one here. Breckenridge Brewery, it's in Colorado. The website, you can see it's just kind of on a loop, kind of scrolling you up and down it. It's beautifully designed. It's easy to navigate. There's multiple calls to action as well that is very important in an effort to prompt conversions. On the right hand side, you'll see a visualization of what a menu looks like on the website. So this is something, you'll probably hear me say it 2 more times, but having a text-based menu on the website that the merchant can quickly update is key. This drastically helps improve SEO, and it also ensures that the guest is seeing accurate information on what to expect when they visit. So, something that our team is always designed to look for is like, hey, does this new customer that we're about to start this project with, do they have PDF versions of their menu on the website? Because if they do, get those down right away. Let's make it text-based, because when someone searches for, house-made chips, in the general area of Breckenridge, we want them to pop up here, right? The text base is gonna populate on Google, and they're gonna show up. So we don't want the PDF menus on the website. That's definitely something to look out for.
Yeah, and that's very common too. So that I love the information that you're providing there, and the wisdom really is that, hey, expose as much of the information as you can in text format, and that way, the search engines are going to be able to find it. And it sounds like something that is pretty mundane, like chips might, someone searching for that, you might show up, and that's a match that was made by BentoBox. So really good to hear about that.
Yep, absolutely. So I just skipped ahead. Sorry about that. I know we focused on standout here, but I did want to just, everyone's been hearing me say platform, or do you just create websites? Just wanted to give you a quick look into the other tools and functionality that BentoBox natively offers that fall under those other categories that we mentioned. So we covered standout, but in terms of ways in which we help merchants sell more through this great new website that they have, we have native first-party online ordering, so you don't have to go to another point solution for that. You can come to us. We can flip a switch, have it active for you very quickly. We allow merchants to access digital gift cards. They can launch merchandise stores on their new website. They don't need a Shopify link on their website or something like that. They can do it through BentoBox. Ticketing. So if a brewery has trivia nights that are limited head count, or they have live music or something like that, you can sell those tickets in advance, get that guaranteed revenue, and manage the table inventory a little bit better. Pre-order and catering, events management. Events management's different from ticketing. Events management basically allows you to manage the event through the back end. You can, like I said, you can see the inventory, you can manage the tickets, all of that kind of stuff, and then launch it with the ticketing service where you can take payment and all of that.
Sure.
And then, sorry, did you have a comment?
No, I just said gotcha. I'm nodding, following along.
Yeah, I think you were looking for a little bit more insight into the engage section. Yeah, so this is actually one of the newer developments of our platform. We focused on driving traffic to the site with a beautifully designed website. How do we capture that? How do we drive additional revenue for the restaurant through our sell features? But then came the question, okay, now that we've converted all of these customers, how are we now engaging with them and helping these restaurants, ensure that those are repeat customers, not just one time? And so we launched automated marketing program. So within the same backend you're using to manage your website, you can launch a series of different emails or SMS messages that trigger based on certain activity. So the simple way to look at it is, hey, someone places a direct order through your website for the first time, you send them an automated email afterwards. If they haven't ordered again within 30 days, you send them an email or a text message with a promo code that you generate in the back end of BentoBox, inviting them to come back and trying to promote that consistent behavior and ensure that you have as many loyal customers as possible. So all of that is, again, managed in the same back end.
That's great. The loyalty programs, automated marketing, those are things that we already advise our restaurants to have in place. And, they might not get it right, and have it be super effective right away, but it's something to always be practicing to try to figure out what your customers want and will respond to the most. I do have a little bit of a question here. It's, a lot of times we drive this type of marketing from the point of sale, but you're doing it from the website. Are we talking to the point of sale here anyway to know like so and so came in and use the coupon code or whatever it might be that we're offering?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have integrations with a number of the most common point of sales that are used in the restaurant space. I don't want to mislead anybody. Some of those integrations are much stronger than others. You'll see Clover here. That is one of our most recommended, along with Square. Those are the two strongest integrations we have, bi-directional sync. So there's always communication going on between the point of sale and the online storefront. For example, if someone is using a Clover point of sale and someone places an order through a BentoBox store online, gets passed directly to their point of sale. The formatting matches exactly what the kitchen is used to on the point of sale. The inventory is updated bi-directionally. So, again, we want to make sure that this is as seamless of a full platform as possible. So we understand the value of integrating with current technology that's already on site.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll watch out for that because that sounds very helpful.
Yes. I didn't want to spend too much time positioning BentoBox, although I'd love to have all the viewers, reach out to us. We'd love to work with you. But, at the end of the day, I just wanted to make sure that there was some clarity provided as to why you should listen to some of my feedback on restaurant websites. So I'll kind of end here by just showing, just a kind of another loop running through a current website we have. And, we have a few of our other great customers listed next to it. So that's kind of where I'll turn it back over to you and let you drive again, Jonathan.
Hey, well, thanks, Dom. And any of these websites that you've shown so far are just great examples. We'd encourage our restaurant owners in downtown to, have these high resolution photos, use some of these design layouts to really give people a sense of what they're going to experience when they come to the restaurant. And so I think the examples that you showed here are really strong. Maybe we can take down the screen share and just continue on with our conversation here. I'd thank you for sharing all of that. We had some questions come in that we wanted to talk with you about, and I'd love to just shoot a few of these over and see what you think about it. Is that fine?
That works for me. Let's do it
on these.
Yep.
I'd love to hear, from your experience, if there's some common areas that websites tend to fall short or lack effectiveness. Have you seen any of that in any, commonalities there?
Yeah, definitely. There's a handful that stick out. I would say that the most common feedback we get from our onboarding and design team is that restaurants are not updating content enough. So
stale content.
Stale content, yes. And that can be for a number of reasons, right? It can be, just not being comfortable in the back end of whatever CMS they're using. They don't, know how or don't want to screw anything up from a design perspective on their existing, back end. Or it could be that they're just, they're busy and they haven't really thought or spent much time thinking about content. So, that's definitely one of the main ways in which we try to help, giving them the ability to update content very seamlessly. And we generate a lot of resources for folks to give them ideas on how to continually generate new content.
Where does the content? Yeah, I'd love to hear about the content that comes into play, because I think about pictures of your food, pictures of your restaurant, maybe your menu descriptions. Is that the content that you're talking about? Or are you thinking about something else?
Yeah, that plus a lot of other things. Like a few things that come to mind, off the top is, sometimes we see that restaurants are too focused on the food, right? Like it's all about the food, but a lot of today's guests like to hear a story on the restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Give them kind of behind the scene looks into your day-to-day operations, make them feel included, make them, allow them to have some transparency into your operation, why you started the restaurant, who works there, how did this person, become the general manager, give us a story of the people working there. There's a lot more to connecting with guests than just amazing food, right? Like that's the most important part probably, but there's a lot of ways you can build content just based on your restaurant, how it got started, highlighting people on your team, sharing feedback that you've received from customers, just interacting with folks and giving them a little bit more purview into what's going on.
That's another thing. Yeah, the last review we have posted is from a year ago. That's too old.
Yeah.
The other thing is like it's developing a relationship with your customers. You want folks to keep coming back, not just to come the once, but not just to come the one time, but when they come and they enjoy the food, enjoy the experience, and then they become fans and get to learn more about who the chef is, what the story is, and all that stuff becomes important when they're telling their friends to join them. Yeah, why should I come to this brewery downtown with you? Well, these people, got together doing music together, and it's got that vibe. And yeah, that's really great. That's good ideas on content there, and keeping it fresh. We had another question come in about optimizing the website for mobile devices. People use smartphones primarily to do find a restaurant, use Google Maps, find a restaurant, whatever it is, whichever way they're finding it. Do you have any ideas about how to make the websites effective for mobile devices?
So BentoBox, as I mentioned, we automatically build sites that are mobile responsive. So it is something that is just natural when we have a new customer. It really, I can't stress the importance enough of having a responsive website for mobile devices. Ensures that the most important information is very easy to find from a smaller screen. That's like the main thing. If when you have a big desktop in front of you and you have more screen to kind of look at everything, it's maybe a little bit easier to find the info. But when you're building a site for mobile, you want to make sure that you're taking that into account, that you have a few seconds to capitalize on someone that lands on your website for the first time. So when they're on the smaller screen, you want to make sure that the user is able to find the things that they're usually looking for, which is a menu, which is, how late are you open, and it is your address, right? So if they can't find that within a few seconds or with a click or two, you may lose them. So that's absolutely something that you want to keep top of mind from a mobile responsive standpoint.
Yeah, and I like that you were getting into the types of activity that customers are doing on the website, because that's what I want to learn a little bit more about too. Sometimes we set these websites up and we don't really know how they're functioning, if they're helping us or not. What are some ways that you see restaurant owners assessing their website performance and how it's helping their business? Are there any specific metrics or analytics that you think about?
Yeah, I mean, general traffic is always going to be the main one, right?
How many people are coming? Yeah.
How many people are hitting the site? Which pages specifically are generating the most conversions? You're always going to want insight into what's driving the most revenue. So, having access to that info is very key. It also gives you, good insight into how your SEO efforts are helping. So if you're allocating time and effort into making sure you're easily found online, you want to make sure that those efforts are paying off. So having insight into that is great. Being able to see analytics into where traffic is coming from is key too. So is it from a specific social channel, or did you recently, spend some money on a digital ad? Being able to track back to the success of that ad to see if it warrants further investment. That's an analytic, that you're definitely going to want to dive into. And I think the last one is just being able to tie revenue numbers back to certain actions is pivotal. I just mentioned this, but you need to know where you want to spend your marketing dollars, right, in order to get the best return on your investment. So that fact can sometimes be, slip through the cracks because restaurants are using a dozen different point solutions. They're cobbled together with integrations. So it's hard to get real insight into this, because if one thing doesn't work properly, all of it doesn't work. So this, this is another one of the big benefits of having a full platform, singular platform to manage all of these online initiatives.
Well, a powerful platform indeed. And we're just going to go on and talk for much longer, and I look forward to our future conversations. But here's about the time where we got to wrap it up for today. And I really appreciate some of the points that you brought out. I think we all know how important websites are, but like you mentioned, 80% of diners go to the web first before they even visit your restaurant. So it's so important that you have that right, especially if you're in a downtown situation where there's a lot of people coming and going in and out of the area. Maybe there's not that, you're not depending on just people in the neighborhood, but you're depending on people traveling in for work, for business, for play, whatever it might be. So having that web presence is super important. Making sure that you got the high res photos in place, making sure that you have a good aesthetic design that's mobile friendly and that's responsive, and so you don't have too much information available. Working with the design team, you don't have a lot of time yourself as a restaurateur, so making sure that you have a design team that you can lean on, like one from BentoBox or even one from Sustenance For Courage that can help you out with that as well.
Yep.
And being able to have those insights, what's your table inventory, what are type of actions are customers taking when they're on the website, how are they getting to you, so on and so forth. All those things are really important. Thank you for sharing those with us today, Dom.
Of course.
Dom Dominiani, how do we get a hold of you if we want to get in contact with you?
Yeah, good question. You can reach out to me via email. It's just dom@getbento.com, or feel free to shoot me a call. Is it okay to drop my phone number in this forum?
Sure, if you want to call, that's where to drop it.
Yeah. 928-710-2462. Thank you, Jonathan. Loved being here. I hope I was able to provide some value to this. I love, what you and your team are working on, and I'm glad I was able to be a part of it.
Hey, well, it's great to have you, and you definitely are a part of it. Look forward to talking with you again soon.
All right. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you. See you soon. Bye.